Welcome to Al and Ha, two friends talking crypto and sports. Let's get it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Al and Ha Podcast. Today we're going to talk about some sports action that's been going on over the past week or so. First, we're going to touch on college football playoff this last weekend, or I guess the first. Ohio State beat the doors off of Clemson, 49-28.
Hands on Clemson.
And then Alabama beat up on Notre Dame 31-14, and that was, I think it was, I want to say it was like 31-0, 31-7, and I think
it was over pretty quick. They're beating the brakes off them.
Yeah.
Kind of begs to wonder if what Cincinnati would have did. They would have got a shot, but whatever. We all, regardless, we all knew Alabama was gonna make their way into that championship game. I think the real shock was that Ohio State and Clemson, Justin Fields just looked like
bald,
like a man amongst boys out there. He was on all facets. Everybody was on their game. And that's by far the best they looked.
Oh yeah,
all
by
year.
Far.
And they picked a great time to do it.
Like I said, man, they definitely made me eat crow because I thought for sure I had seen, obviously being Nebraska fan and following the Big Ten, I thought Clemson, I kind of said Clemson, I thought was going to smoke them. When I say that, expecting them to win by about 14, just because I had seen Ohio State, and granted they had some, COVID issues and stuff over the last 2 weeks, but really struggled against Indiana, and then they had a good year too, and then really struggled against Northwestern in the championship game, and obviously Ohio State was missing the receivers, especially Olave, who's a great receiver. But yeah, they looked phenomenal. And to be honest with you, I saw somebody, I forgot who it was, make a comment that Ohio State looked fresher. And it kind of gets you into that. They played 6 games. And whereas Clemson played 11, was that a factor? And towards the end of the year,
yeah. But then you look at the other way. Was Clemson playing the 11 games and having all that experience and all that time to gel together?
Right.
Was that an advantage for them over Ohio State, who honestly, if you're 6 games in and you're gelling, cool, okay, but then you're kind of worried, like, are we peaking too early?
Right.
So it's I definitely hear that argument, but that argument definitely swings both ways.
No, I agree. I just feel like watching that game, at least defensively for Ohio State, they looked so much faster than Clemson. And I don't know, and maybe it's just they simplified some things, and so they were able to fly around a little bit more. Maybe they just had them dialed in a little bit better than they had the previous year. But they were just flying around on defense. Like it was a fun game to watch. As far as if you're an Ohio State fan, or even just a defensive fan, it was a really fun game to watch on that end. Trey Sermon, also Ohio State's running back, has come into his own the last couple of weeks. I think he ran for like 150 or something, but he, like the last few weeks, like he's kind of found his rhythm. He transferred in from Oklahoma, had an injury, so he was kind of had missed all last year, kind of getting his bearings, and in the last few weeks has really been putting it on. And he's a big back too. He's like 6'1", 210, 215. And can really move. But yeah, Alabama, they all did what everybody thought they were going to do. It's kind of why everybody was, at least me and you, was upset that Notre Dame was in there, because as good as a season Notre Dame had, everybody just kind of knew they just didn't have the guys. Unless they played phenomenal and Alabama had an off night where they were going to keep it tight and potentially pull it out.
Yeah, they don't have the dudes.
And you said it, like Cincinnati.
Hey, they played Georgia hard,
right? And so Georgia kicks a field goal to beat them right at the end there. It's kind of one of those, again, like, give them a chance. You go undefeated, you do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
And that's where we talked about, like expanding this playoff this year would have been great.
Perfect. Yeah.
Would have been a perfect year to experiment with it.
Because there were a couple teams that, that could have been determined. And not to saying that, ultimately Notre Dame, they took that L, but, they had a great season. And there was a great argument for them to be in there. And it flips back to, they went, ultimately, they played a full season or whatever the case may be. And they had some tough competition. So, I get the argument, but in the end, Cincinnati,
Yeah.
If Notre Dame went around the table, wouldn't even been an argument.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Or even if they would have, because they beat Clemson earlier, they were granted without Trevor Lawrence, but they if they would have kept it close in that championship game, they
you
can't argue with it. Yeah, but they just got blasted. And for me too, if you really think about it like that, if you expand that playoff, you have essentially 4 versus 5. So Notre Dame is playing Texas A&M. Who knows what happens? That, you know what I mean? Like the matchups are different. You have Ohio State playing like Florida or whoever was 7, or you know what I mean. So it would have definitely been interesting to see that. But yeah,
and
so
it's more money for them, and they like that,
so, right? That's what's weird. NCAA, like you're going to make more money out of it, so why not do it? And that's what they love. So. But yeah, so Ohio State and Alabama play. I think it's a great game.
I do too. I think Ohio State might be maybe a touchdown underdog. I don't know if it's that much, but
it opened at 7.5. So Bama was the favorite, and I think it got pushed to 8 just from the betting. I think people were taking Bama.
But I take Ohio State. You know what? I you know how I feel about the Big Ten because I'm a Pac-12 guy, but I really hate the SEC. So hey, both SECs, but but I'm gonna go roll with I'm gonna roll with Ohio State this week, man. I think if they can come out flying around like they were flying around last week, and it ain't like they don't have dudes. You know what I'm saying? They're always in top 5 recruiting. So,
and I think the last few years they've actually finished above Bama. Recruiting wise,
they got to stop that. They got to stop the 230-pound bowling ball. And the receiver.
It all starts with Najee Harris. If they could stuff him and really put it on Mac Jones, not that Mac Jones isn't capable, but he hasn't had to show that he can carry it. Najee Harris is arguably, you could argue, he should have been a finalist for the Heisman as well. He actually received votes, so it's not like he wasn't deserving of it. I feel like in the beginning of the year, I was talking to my buddy about it. I feel like at the beginning of the year, Mac Jones definitely overshadowed everybody because he started off so hot. And he was the new guy, and it's like, is he the next Joe Burrow? I remember everybody talking about.
He played himself into the first round. I know that.
And then Devontae, obviously just killing it all year, really taking over. With
and the thing about him is like he get double-digit targets a game. Like the next target guy would be like 4 or 5 targets.
Right.
So they knew exactly
where they were going to throw the ball, using him as a decoy at all. And I think it really changed for him was Jalen Waddle went out early in the season. Now they're talking about him maybe coming back for the championship game, but there was people that were picking Jalen Waddle to win the Heisman before the season started. So talent-wise, obviously Bama's got it as well. It's going to be an interesting game if Ohio State could keep Najee under wraps, and not just the run game, just the checkdowns. Like
he does that too. Catches the ball, 230 pounds. Steven Jackson, man, he's got a lot of Steven Jackson.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
He's got the size, the running over. He's got the speed.
Yeah.
Away. Yeah. No, I hear
you. But I think that the X factor is going to be Fields. Yeah. Just like he showed last week. He can put it up through the air. He can throw it. He can throw it well.
Oh yeah.
He dimed dude on that body. Like he can put it in spots. And the thing about it is like, what are you going to do? You're going to blitz him? Are you really going to blitz him and play man behind? Like,
yeah, that's he's so
that's
athletic.
The X factor.
So really for me, it's going to be if he's healthy. He took that shot right to the ribs.
The
hip pointer, whatever he got, and talked about after the game how they just basically they shot him up and because he wanted to go back in. So they had no real diagnosis after the game, but not that you would anyway at that point. It's just
they're not saying anything.
Yeah, so. But he continued to ball. You did see after that hit, though, his running ability, like it wasn't there. Like he wasn't trying to run. Even when he did kind of take off, as people would come to him, he'd get down. But he's ultra athletic, and he has a great arm. Like I said, watching the Big Ten, he struggled the last couple weeks, but again, his top receivers were out. So it's going to be interesting.
He'll take a shot. He'll be numbed up. He'll put it in his head. I got to do this for 3.5 hours. And if he's mobile, then because you know these mobile quarterbacks. Hell, we saw with John Elway, and when he was 37. You know, last game, this is it. Where he takes off and he dives at the 6-yard line.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's that mentality completely changes when this is it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Now do what you got. Shot up a little bit.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I like Ohio State. I think they're not that Alabama's not playing well, but
playing great.
Clemson is so much better than Notre Dame was. And to see what Ohio State did, if they play that well again, I think it's gonna be a close game, but I think Ohio State gets it done.
Okay. Versus the line, who do you take?
O-line.
Do you take?
No.
Oh,
the line. I'm taking Ohio State to cover for sure. I would for sure bet on Ohio State to cover.
All right. So, but just to win,
I'm taking them straight up.
Okay.
I think Justin Fields has more experience than Mac Jones. I think if he's playing well, that'll kind of come into play. I think
Has Alabama had a tight? Have they had a tight game this year?
Yeah, they played. Their only real tight game that I could think of was Florida in the SEC championship, and I think they still ended up winning by 14. But it was tight. It was, you know what I mean. It was one of those. They were up by touchdown, or up by 2.
Mm-hmm.
Florida would score, be down by a touchdown. You know what I mean. So it was kind of
There was some pressure there.
There was a little bit of pressure there. Like they had to keep scoring. But that's the thing. This is that Alabama. I mean, their defense played well against Notre Dame, but their defense has been giving up a lot of points this year, which is uncharacteristic of Nick Saban. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And Ohio State, like I said, Trey Sermon's been running the ball really well. I think they got that clicking. It's one of those, if play action with him, with Fields being able to run the ball, it's going to be hard to stop. And they got a couple tight ends that are balling. I think they scored 3 touchdowns in the playoff game. They're tight ends of the 6 or whatever it was. But yeah, and maybe that's some of my Big Ten. But like you said, I hate the SEC, and I'm a Big Ten guy. So, but
I can have my feelings involved, but in my head, I think that I think they're going to give them a damn sure run for the money, because it ultimately comes down to athletes. You know what I'm saying? And if you are to stack up Ohio State and Alabama's athletes, I would say they're probably fairly similar. Yeah, they're pretty even. So then there's an aspect of coaching, but when you look at, and I think in games like this, when you're this late in the season, you can't but dress the pig so many times. So it's going to be what are we going to do to in our normal game, and then those adjustments that get made. That flat route that turns into the wheel, that and go a little bit later on because we got the corner, biting on this out. It's things like that. Those adjustments that may turn the tide, and of course, the stuff that no one ever plans for, the turnovers.
Right.
Or anything that happens in the special teams.
And now that I really think about it, too, to be honest with you, with Alabama is how offensively are they going to play with Sarkisian coaching? He just took the job at Texas. So if I would assume
he'll do that, but where's Sarkisian's head at?
Right. And where is
recruiting?
Probably trying to get recruiting. He's probably not spending a ton of time there.
Yeah.
He's probably mixing his time. He's probably not sleeping a lot, but who knows? Maybe he'll start drinking again.
He's dressing that pig, and not as well as they probably could be if 100% of his focus was on. But yeah, ultimately, it's a national championship game, but he's thinking about, I got to start recruiting. I got this other gig. I got to get my coaches. I got to all that is in his head. Like, let me get through this.
Texas quarterbacks going to the draft. Yeah,
let me get through this week.
Yeah,
just hurry up so I can get started.
It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I just feel like the way Ohio State played, not that Bama's not playing well, but I just feel like they're clicking. They found it at the right time.
Yeah. And if being fresh is some type weighing into this, then playing 5 less games, that matters.
Yeah. No, and at this point in the year, it can. And if they're, like you said, if they're clicking at this point, playing fresh, which is where I think that's why I was saying defensively against Clemson, they just looked like they were clicking, and they were they looked more fresh. Like they just looked faster. They looked like they were moving better. So like I said, I'm going to take Ohio State. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it'll be in the 30s. So
Oh, I think they're going to score. Yeah. I definitely think, over under. I would say definitely, over 64, 65. I think they're going to put up points because I don't think either really going to be able to slow each other down. But and big plays, I expect to see big plays. A lot of speed on the field, man. A lot of speed on the field.
And I think they're definitely going to hit the over. That's just my opinion. I just think that offensively, like I said, Bama's having a down defensive year. But yeah, 76.5 is the over under, so I'm definitely taking the over on that. Yeah. I mean, you got to figure that's 38, 35. It's right around that range. So I'm going to take the over on that just because I feel like
they're going to score.
If one of them's getting into the 40s, the other one's getting high 30s. I don't think it's going to be like a 42-21 game or anything like that. So
yeah.
So Heisman Trophy was handed out.
Watch it be 10-7.
Right? Like that Bama LSU back in the day. 7-3 or whatever the hell that was. So the Heisman got handed out last night. You had Kyle Trask from Florida was one of the finalists. Trevor Lawrence,
the quarterback, right?
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence from Clemson.
He was the one getting switched in and out in their last game. He was getting swapped in and out through 3 picks in the first half.
Who?
That quarterback.
No. Oh, maybe the bowl game. Yeah, the bowl game.
Yeah. Okay. And I know all those people were gone, but damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a great year. He was. I honestly, that's one of those. He was a finalist, and it was like a courtesy kind of thing. Like he had a great year. So, but Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, Mac Jones from Bama, and then Devontae Smith, the receiver from Bama. I feel like Trevor Lawrence was kind of there almost as a courtesy as well. Missed a couple games this year.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, don't get me wrong. One of the best players in the country.
Oh, I know. But
I feel like he was definitely. If he were to win it, it would have been more of a career achievement award. I feel like, and I, kind of feel like that. As a Nebraska fan, I feel like Eric Crouch won the Heisman because it was a career thing. More, I mean, not that he wasn't a great player, but. And then, so Devontae Smith wins it. We had talked about before. Was he the right guy?
Looking back on it, I know when we talked, I told you the quarterback from Alabama. But after I kind of looked at it and just seeing how many freaking targets that he would get, especially after we talked about earlier how Waddle went down.
Right.
He got double-digit targets, and then I was reading up on him a little bit. He had 2 drops the entire year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think the average was close to 20. Yeah. And I think he, 20 touchdowns. I think the cat from last year that won the Heisman that sat out this year, completely forgot about him because I was looking at a mock draft. And this cat, Devontae Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I saw a mock draft today and he's a 3rd receiver.
Yeah. He's
the 3rd receiver.
I think a lot of it's because he's undersized. I mean, to go, I felt
like Marvin Harris.
Yeah. I felt like he was the right guy. I feel like it was one of those, if one of the quarterbacks would have won, it would have been like, we really need to start this just needs to be the best quarterback award because I think it's the first person to win it that wasn't a quarterback since Derrick Henry. He's the first receiver to win it since Desmond Howard. So that puts it back. And look at all the receivers that will come out.
Yeah.
In some of the years, even just if you just look at Alabama, like Julio Jones and some of the guys that Bama's put out into the league. But he, like you had said, with Waddle going down, he was by far their most targeted player, by far their best receiver. And
you knew he was getting the ball.
Right.
Yeah, and he was getting the ball.
And he made the plays, like you had said, didn't make the drops, and he made the spectacular plays. Remember one of them against LSU, he made a one-handed catch in the back of the end zone. Against Notre Dame, had a couple big plays that were definitely some of those that were kind of that Heisman-esque, where it was just that special play. So I feel like Mac Jones, good player. He definitely wasn't the best player in the country.
Right, damn good year. Like I said, he played himself into that first round.
Yeah,
because he wasn't a first round draft choice at the beginning of this season.
Nobody even talked about him.
Yeah,
and definitely with how many people need quarterbacks.
And then the cat from the little incoming freshman, they were they were talking about he could possibly come in and start. Forgot his name, but Young, believe his name is. But so he came in, played himself into the first round. Yeah, major.
He's about to get paid. But yeah, so Devontae Smith wins the Heisman. Right choice. By far the best player in the country this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
bald.
Najee Harris, which is kind of scary. You got 3 guys there at Bama, and Najee Harris wasn't a finalist, and he ended up actually, I think, finishing
running for like 1,200.
Yeah, but I think he
ran for like
finished
1,200.
4th in the voting. Like, I think he got enough votes where he was actually 4th in the voting, which is pretty ridiculous if you think about it. You got 3 of the top 4 guys in the country on the same team.
Yeah, yeah, 3-headed monster.
Yeah, so
like old school Dallas Cowboys.
And he kind of flew under the radar. He
Well,
played in
does
Northern
it-
California, and then goes out there. He's sitting behind, kind of waiting his turn at Alabama. Played a lot last year.
Out him.
Yeah,
but they you know what I'm saying. He's never been. They
would have
like
if they had
a game every game.
If they would have kept Hurts, they would have. But they move on to Tua, and so they're
opens
slinging
everything
the ball, and then they got Mac Jones this year slinging the ball all over the place. But he's a monster. He's huge.
He still went from 12. He still went from like 1,200. And he's
Great,
catching the ball out of the backfield.
Great receiver out of the backfield. Good in open space.
Yeah, Steven Jackson 2.0.
Yeah, he's a problem.
I don't think he's as fast as Steven Jackson though. I think Steven Jackson was a sub 4.4 guy, like a 4.39.
His younger days when he was at especially when he was at Oregon State and coming straight into the league.
Yeah.
As he got older, he turned into more of a pounder, but
yeah.
With his dreads just hanging out of the back of his helmet. But
like Najee.
So college football season almost over. It's kind of sad. Definitely love college football, but let's get into the NFL. Their second season is about to start with the playoffs starting up. Were you surprised by anything how the season ended, with any teams that maybe made the playoffs, didn't make the playoffs? Performances
surprised.
by anybody?
I was, the collapse of the Raiders. They're my squad. I think we started 6-3, and then it was just all downhill from there. What else?
Stadium's dope though.
Oh, stadium is magnificent. But whatever. Outside of that, surprises that the NFC East. Jeez Louise. That's the toilet bowl division. They were just bad all across the board. The last, the Eagles game this last week, and then I think who was it? Dallas. I was pissed off that they threw the game because
the Giants
got it.
Yeah, the Giants were. Because if they would have beat the Giants, would have made the playoffs. But yeah,
it's like, cool. Are you serious?
I wasn't surprised by too much. Like you said, I think the Raiders. We had talked about before, and growing up in LA, obviously, I was a 49er fan, but I was definitely would watch the Raiders because we always got the Raiders. I hated the Rams, and so I actually kind of liked the Raiders. So. Yeah, them starting out hot, and I had talked to you before. Like, I loved how they were playing defense early in the year. Offensively, they're really dynamic. Josh Jacobs is a problem.
Definitely.
Derek Carr had one of his most efficient seasons, if not his most efficient season of his career.
No.
And then for them just to collapse, I don't know what happened there. They ended up firing the DC, so they're going to have to figure out some things in the offseason.
I don't know how well they develop talent. I'm just gonna,
Gruden, the staff.
Well,
you got to think.
I'm just gonna throw it out.
He likes old players.
He likes old players, and we got Ruggs. Did he have over 20 catches? I don't have anything in front, but
he
I would be shocked if he had over 20.
There was one I saw. There's a guy I follow on Twitter. Can't think of his name right now, but he showed a couple of clips of Ruggs running routes, and I immediately thought of you because they showed like 3 or 4 digs that he ran and literally would just get stuck at the top of the route. Like could not get out of the route.
I think I saw.
And you're just like, gosh, man, to be drafted that high and you can't get that should be like the least of your worries. As much as you should be getting better and working on stuff, you should be able to get in and out of your breaks if you're that fast and to be able to get some separation. But
here's my thing though, but you can still utilize that if you had him on your squad, if we had a person like that when we were coaching, how many shots would you have given him a game? Honestly,
like Ruggs.
I'm not even saying a guy that didn't run routes well, but was fast as shit. and we had a quarterback that can actually get him the ball, how many shots would you give him a game?
I would say about 5.
I was thinking around 4 or 5 as well.
Just chuck it.
You take at least a shot a quarter, and see if he can go get it, because the other guy can't go get it.
You got to figure run him on a drag, like just run him on screens.
Just get him the ball. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to anything. So
yes, it'll be interesting.
But he loves, like I said, he loves, like you said, he loves those older players. He likes the veteran players.
Well,
he's a schemer. He does he knows how to. He's the X's and O's guy.
Phenomenal
coordinator,
guy.
but he doesn't know how to obviously teach a receiver to get in and out of his routes.
Which is odd, because wasn't he? I mean, that's what he did back in the day for Green Bay. I think he was the receiver coach, but he so that'll be interesting to see. I think what surprised me was, I mean, maybe again I'm a homer, but the NFC West, I think they they were arguably last year the best division in football. With the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Rams, and then the Cardinals now coming on. And that's where I think the surprise for me is the Cardinals really, I mean, they were competing for a playoff spot. Obviously the 49ers were out of it, but they had so many injuries this year. I mean, losing Bosa, Sherman was out most of the year.
Right.
I mean, at one point I was following them on Twitter and stuff. They started 3 guys in the secondary one week that they signed off the practice squad because they had so many injuries. Garoppolo missed more than half the season.
Yeah.
And they still, I think they finished 6-10, if I remember right. So they still weren't like awful. I think they have the 12th pick in the draft, which I was hoping for better, but you know what I mean? So they're right in the middle of the pack still. If they can get healthy. That NFC West next year is going to be a problem. Like that's for me as a fan.
Oh yeah.
I love to watch it, but it's also not good because that's freaking 7 games you could lose right there in division.
Yeah, easy.
So
easy L's, and depending on what other division you draw,
right?
It can get bad quick.
But yeah, the NFC East is awful. But let's go back to the NFC East. Let's talk about that Eagles game. So they played the Redskins the other night. Fourth quarter rolls around. They're down 17-14, and Doug Peterson, the head coach, decides to go with Nate Sudfeld out of Indiana from a few years ago. Been there. I think he was with the Eagles for like 3 years. Here's the kicker with that. It's like, so they put him in the fourth quarter. They lose the game, right? And you could tell, like Jalen Hurts on the sideline, like at one point, it's like this ain't right. Like you could see, like his mouth.
He's not happy.
You're seeing reports now. Miles Sanders comes out and says they didn't know about it. Like a lot of team players were upset about it. It's one of those, you want to end the year on a good note. It was a rough year.
Zach Ertz stayed on the field for a while because I think that was his last game.
Well, him, Jason Kelce, like some of those older dudes may not come back. They're all up for their contracts, and you know what? Here's the thing. For me, it was more of I don't care. If it wasn't Sunday
I know
night,
why he did it. I get it.
If it wasn't Sunday Night Football, nobody would care because nobody would be paying attention to it. Nobody's talking about the Steelers sat Ben Roethlisberger and the Browns made the playoffs. Like how many players did the Steelers sit? And the Browns had to win to get in. So you're looking at the same concept there. So, it was the fact that I think the fact that you're the excuse of I wanted to see what he had. He's been on your roster for 3 years. You just drafted Jalen Hurts, and he immediately jumped him. So, Jalen Hurts was the backup quarterback at the beginning of the year, and then takes over the starting spot, and that's your excuse. Like, how about you just say, at that point in the season, we were just whatever, and
one of the better draft pick.
And because my thing is one, if I was the coach, I'd want to win the game. And you can say what you want, like, oh, they screwed the Giants out of the playoffs. Well, they could have screwed the Redskins out of the playoffs by beating them. Like, how much better that would feel better to me as a coach. If I'm trying to screw one of the division teams out of making the playoffs, I want to beat them and screw them out of the playoffs. Like, that's the hole that they had there. So I just think, I mean, it's a bad look. I think obviously the Eagles, we talked about a couple of podcasts ago, they have a lot of work to do in the offseason.
They need to switch. What the NFL needs to do is they need to switch the way they do the draft. How they need to do it, I don't know. I'm not even going to begin to do that. But they need to switch it because once a team is mathematically out of it, it encourages tanking. Yeah, it encourages them to tank. And then there's not even a lottery where you get a percentage of in a golf ball. So even if you're the last, you still have a shot. It may be 2%.
The hard part about the
lottery,
lottery,
if you are the worst team, you get a
is you see the NBA doing that too. But I get it though. At least like how many times did the Sixers do that, and then they still didn't get the first pick? So you're at least still like you're going to risk tanking, and you're still maybe not going to get the first pick. So the hard part about football is usually the worst teams, aka Jacksonville, the Jets. They need quarterbacks, so they need that first. So that's the hard part of if you. Picture. In the 49ers. This is a whole week ago to a whole other podcast about how I feel about Jimmy G. You could argue that they don't need a quarterback, but if they were in a lottery and got the first pick, they would probably take Trevor Lawrence. But it's not that they need him. But so that's where I think that I agree. I think they need to try to figure out something where you don't get that tanking aspect of it. And honestly, like props to the Jets players. Like as much as like there were so many jokes about they screwed not only their present but the future as well. You don't want to lose as a player. As a coach, you're not trying to lose. I don't care if you're in that spot or not. Adam Gase, you think what you want about him. He was not trying to lose. Because in reality, he probably knew in the back of his head he was not coming back anyway. So, for the Eagles to pull that, I had more of an issue with, to be honest with you, was Joe Judge, the Giants coach. He came out, I think Monday at that press conference and
don't even say anything.
Talking about the integrity of the game and it's like, shut up, dude. You had 16 weeks to handle win the playoffs
yourself.
You were week 12. The Giants were in first place in the division. If they do what they're supposed to do, this isn't even an issue. But they go on and lose 3 or 4, and then need the Eagles to beat the Redskins. Like, shut the hell up. Stop making excuses. Don't worry about what they're doing. Worry about what's happening in your building. And I like Joe Judge. I think he's actually a good coach. I think
he was just hella salty. Right. He was hella salty.
And I get it.
Because he thought he was going.
You're sitting there, you're watching the game. And I can picture it, man. He's probably at home. He's probably in the facility. Like, let's be real. He's probably at the Giants facility. He's got the game on the TV, and he's got that there. And he's probably got 2 screens going with Tampa Bay games, because he even said he was looking at Tampa Bay film because that's who they were going to end up lining up. And then you're watching it, and he probably looked up and saw Nate Sudfeld walking in there at the fourth quarter. He's probably going, "What the fuck is that?" And immediately on the phone with somebody. Like, I'm sure he's like trying to get a hold of people. Like, no, they need to forfeit. That's correct, whatever. But it was just a bad look.
He fumbled the snap. It was all bad.
Yeah, it was all bad. Keystone Cops.
So bad.
Keystone Cops. I just feel bad for those Eagles players. They got a lot of older dudes on that team, both offense and defense. Like you said, Ertz on the field.
That's a tough way to go out, man.
Kelsey on the field after.
Tough way to go out.
So I can see some of those guys. Kelsey's old enough; he may go on somewhere else, but he also may retire. Ertz, I think, if he doesn't stay, he'll end up playing for a couple more years, but. There's a lot of those dudes on that team. You got Brandon Brooks, some of the D linemen, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, like some of those older players that have been there. And the crazy part is Philly is that town that's like
blue collar.
They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Like,
I know.
Back in the day. Quick story. Like I went back. I got family there, and me and my pops. Like we just had a day, so we did the double-decker tour bus, like in the city. Like went and saw the Rocky statue, the Liberty Bell, we just kind of hit it all in one day. And I'm standing there and I have my 49er hat on. And this he's a homeless guy, but he's literally standing there, probably drunk, it's probably like 10 in the morning, and he's cussing me out. And it's a 49er hat. I'm like sitting there looking at him and I'm like, it's not even the Cowboys, bro. Like, what? I can't wear a 49er hat. Like, we have no bad blood whatsoever. And you're cussing me out, dude. And I'm like, God damn, man. But yeah, Philly's one of those towns, man. Like, could you imagine if there was fans in the stands and he would have put Nate Sudfeld? I don't think he would have done it. I bet you he keeps Jalen Hurts in the game because he would have got booed the whole rest of the game.
Yeah, it'd have been bad. And they sell out. Like, it'd have been bad.
But so with that said, so you got the playoffs now, they're all set. Has anything changed in your head about who you think's going to go all the way? Any upsets? Nope. Honestly, like
it's gonna be Kansas City and Green Bay.
I kind of feel the same way.
I still think that those teams. Well, you can't count out Tom Brady just because it's fucking Tom Brady. They got a quarterback that can play in the cold. He'll have them ready. He knows his days are numbered. He don't know how many years he has left. So you always can't count him out. But outside of the teams that predominantly run the ball, I don't see anybody beating KC or Green Bay. And I will go. And I'm leaning. I think Green Bay might, because I think Green Bay can run the ball.
Yeah, they can.
I think Green Bay can run the ball.
You got Jamal Williams off the bench.
And control the clock.
AJ
and keep KC off the field.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers will just boop, boop, boop.
So my thing was Green Bay, they're just playing so well right now. Like Aaron Rodgers is out of his mind. Devontae Adams is out of his mind. A couple nights ago, and I can't stand Chris Collinsworth, but I think it was a couple weeks ago they were playing on Sunday night, and he was talking about Devontae Adams and his releases. And you as a receiver, and us, obviously me coaching with you and stuff, like I could totally respect it. And he literally, they were just breaking it down. He doesn't use his hands. Like it is all footwork. Like he is getting that wide open. He's getting pressed off the line of scrimmage and not hand fighting. Like he's so good off the ball.
He's got him, Keenan Allen, they clean routes off releases off the line. But if you look at the percentage of when Aaron Rodgers throws to Devontae Adams, like how many targets he has and how many catches it'll be it's maybe absurd. 2. Yeah, it is. It maybe 2, and it's not like he throws him the ball once or twice a game. He's going to get his close to 10. He's feeding him. He's going to get close to his 10 targets, and 7 or 8 of them are going to get caught. You know what I'm saying? So
they're just playing so well. The thing that kind of I'm still picking KC. I just feel like the hard part with KC is they aren't playing very well. So they lost to the Chargers, but Mahomes wasn't playing. They had guys out, but just they're like they're winning. And that's what they always say. Like winning's hard. So they're getting everybody's
Deion Sanders. It reminds me of Deion Sanders. I just run fast enough to beat you.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the hard part. Is like you look at Green Bay, and they're beating teams by 21 points, and then you go watch Kansas City, and they're beating, I don't know, like
everybody.
They beat the Cowboys by a field goal, or you know what I mean? Like I don't even know if they played the Cowboys, but they're barely squeaking by. And then when you look at the Bills and what they're doing to teams right now,
I know
I think they're a team that can for sure challenge the Chiefs. I just still think when they need to, they're going to do it.
I say this: the fact that the Chiefs have basically been off for 2 weeks, when they finally do play again, could
upset them.
A factor. Just because there's a very good chance they come out somewhat flat. And if the team, if it's Buffalo, and Buffalo can get out there and jump on them, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it ain't like teams ain't got up 14 points on KC. It's just a motherfucker. They come back.
Don't remind me, man. All the time. I was celebrating the Super Bowl last year. 49ers were up like 15 or whatever it was, and I was like, hell yeah, fourth quarter, and then it went.
But that's what it is. I mean, and KC took one from the Raiders like that. I mean, we talked about that earlier. You know what I'm saying? And it's going like that game, no matter who it is, I think KC will end up being a shootout. It's just, can you kill the clock?
Right.
Like,
can you not give them enough time?
Yeah, I don't know Josh Allen's game, in 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? If KC, somebody goes down there and scores, I'm not, feeling like, okay, this fool is going to definitely take them down there and score. Aaron Rodgers or Josh McCown, if it's 2 minutes left or something, they have to go score. I would bet that they would go get it done.
Did you say McCown?
You think of anything? Oh wow, yeah, my bad. Yeah, I said Josh McCown. Damn, where's my head at?
He was in the league for a minute, man.
What is this guy's name?
What team are you talking about?
KC, the
Mahomes.
KC. Yeah, Mahomes, man, Mahomes. Yeah. No, but yeah, if Mahomes or Rodgers has the ball, in my head,
if they got it, they're winning
I don't care who's on defense.
Yeah,
they're about to get down and score. Even if it's check down. They're going to get down there and score.
The interesting part is too, is you look at when the Chiefs have had to get stops. So like in those games where they've had to get the ball back to score, they've gotten the stops. That's kind of the interesting thing with the Bills. If the Bills get the ball and say there's 4 minutes left in the game and the Chiefs have to get the ball back, Josh Allen is athletic enough that they could use QB run. And so that's one of those things where you don't really think about it much because he's especially this year, he's been killing it in the pocket, but that could be one of those things where it's like, oh, they got to get this first down. And then all of a sudden it's either a boot action or something with him. And it's like they ran something the other night. It reminded me of like when we used to run our veer read with Cade. He faked from under center, fake play side dive and pulled it and ran around the corner for the first down. And it's like, it's one like little things like that where it's like, if they can get a couple first downs late, that might do it. Tweaks. But
and the thing is I forgot how mobile he was because he hasn't been running like he was running last year. I think last year, like he put up some good good yardage running, and I actually forgot about that. So X factor, man.
But yeah,
always mobile quarterback to give you the +1 in the box.
Stephon Diggs is another one of those receivers. He's just talk about like opening up everything for that offense.
Yeah, he helped a lot.
But yeah, I agree. At this point, I got to go with the Packers for sure in the NFC, just because again, everybody's got to go through there. So
yeah, and Brady, I think will go up there because I think he's going to get through the early shit, but he's going to go up there, and I think he's going to give him a game. He's going to give him a game because he'll be ready to play.
Well, you got to remember, and Tampa's going to have confidence because they smoked Green Bay early in the season.
Yeah, and they got a run game. They can run the ball. Antonio Brown, he's a cold weather player.
Right.
So and they got
the one that I'm kind of upset now, but the Browns, I was for sure going to pick them to upset the Steelers this week. I mean, granted they had to beat them to get in, so you had a bunch of starters out. But I just feel like the Steelers, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, they're just kind of their record is a lot better. Yeah, they're trending under the record's a lot better than they've been playing, and the Browns have been trending in the right direction. With the COVID stuff now, Stefanski's going to be out, so he's their play caller, head coach. I just don't see, plus a couple other coaches, I just don't see them overcoming that, especially with Baker.
And they don't run the ball,
which they should. That's the crazy part.
Yeah,
like they run it enough, but then like you look against the Ravens that night, like they threw the ball 51 times. And they ran the ball well. So, like, it's one of those, like, I get it. You got to try to stay balanced, but they got a two-headed monster. Chubb is one of the best backs in the league.
Yeah.
He's got the power, and he's got the quickness and the speed. So, it's going to be interesting.
And it plays into the way this weather's going to be and everything. It's like, if we know it's going to be a shit weather game.
Right.
And I always will lean towards the team that can turn around and just hand it.
The crazy part about the AFC is if you really think about it, everybody that made the playoffs is cold weather. So that doesn't really have a factor. If you really think about it, even having to go through KC, like shoot, I'm in the Midwest, like it gets cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like the Bills are going to come to Kansas City and have issues with the cold. You know, so that's where the NFC is kind of that different. You have Tampa, who's obviously you have Brady, but warm weather. The Saints are warm weather. They're a dome team. Seattle's really the only other one because they're up north.
Yeah.
They don't, if it's going to snow and stuff, a little bit different, but
but wet. I mean, I'd rather have snow than freaking rain, cold rain.
Absolutely. And then you got the Rams, who are now a dome team, but they're LA.
They're done.
So, but until I still got to go Chiefs and Green Bay and the.
Yeah, me
Super Bowl
too.
There.
And we'll see how Buffalo actually plays this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I could see Baltimore's playing well too. So AFC is going to be interesting. I think more so.
Well, actually, you know what? Baltimore is running the hell now. Quarterback hasn't been. I'm forgetting quarterback names right now, but quarterback hasn't been very effective, efficient. I think he's been like 50% or whatever. Yeah, Lamar, but he's been picking up about 70, 80 a game. Dobbins took over as the lead back. Ingram's not even getting touches, and then Edwards is getting his 80 games. Dobbins is getting his close to 100. Like they're close to back. It got to be at least 230, 240 a game.
Yeah, they're running the shit out of the football right now. Their defense, and that's all. That's what it boils down to. Lamar is not going to be able to throw for 40 times a game and win.
Yeah.
So But their
But if he
run
can
game,
throw,
their run game is hard too because you got to deal with Lamar. So
and they run that freaking weird ass inverted beer looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like them. I like the way
AFC
Baltimore
will be fun to watch.
Control. And Tennessee's as well.
Yeah.
Because Henry is hot. I mean, he's coming in off a 250 yard game. So
yeah. No, AFC playoffs are gonna be fun to watch. AFC especially, I think it's real competitive. So be interesting to see these next couple weeks. But so the season's over now. Obviously, the MVP votes are in. I think they're actually announcing it the day before the Super Bowl, which I always felt like, even NBA and stuff, like you need to have a playoff MVP award, not just the finals, or you just need to wait for have a full on season MVP award until after the playoffs are done. But since last time we talked, anything changed on who you think is going to win that? I know a ton of, if you listen to like analysts or anybody like that, like a ton of people have swayed towards Aaron Rodgers after the last couple of weeks that he put together. But
I think that it's going to be hard not to give it to Mahomes, just because they're the best team. They went 14-1, and he was the trigger. But a very good argument can be made for the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing, especially the last few weeks, and then freaking Josh Allen too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I just
what I'm saying?
I think Josh Allen was so far back in the conversation.
Yeah. But here's my thing. Are we going to get to a point where Mahomes starts getting treated like LeBron?
Well, we talked about that. I kind of think so. I think at some point, I mean, you got to think he's been
Kelsey's young. Yeah. Tyreek is young. You know what I'm saying? They got a young back. They just drafted a cat from LSU. And plus, they seem to pick up back. So they got skill players. Like, he can do this for the next foreseeable future.
Well, that's what
like next 4 or 5 years.
We talked about if he wins it this year. He's only been in the league 4 years. He sat the first year. Yeah. Got all the way. If it wasn't for D Ford jumping off sides, they probably get to the Super Bowl and probably win it his second year.
Yep.
Turns around third year, wins the Super Bowl and MVP, and then so here you are again. So he's going to be 4 years in the league, 2 MVPs. Like I would think at a certain point you're just going to start like LeBron, like you touched on.
Yeah, they're going to start LeBron in him.
And to be honest with you, could even go back to MJ. Like Karl Malone should have beat him. Like Charles Barkley should have beat him. Like they had great years that year, but MJ was the best player in the league. So,
but then back then they were actually they didn't give a shit. They just like shit. It was him.
Yep.
No, what I'm saying? There were years where I think it was people just didn't like LeBron, and it was just like he was clearly like, come on, man. Every team he goes to, he takes them to the championship. Outside of maybe a 2 or 3 years that they didn't make it, and not kind of when he first broke into the league. But come on, every team he goes to, they go to the finals. They got action.
Other than the year the 2 years with the Lakers, or was it? No, first year with the Lakers, he got hurt. They missed the playoffs. That was the first time he missed the playoffs, and I don't know how many years. Probably since the beginning of his career. And
missed finals.
Yeah, first time he missed a final in like 10 years. So,
and then the next year he wins it. So is Mahomes going to end up like that? Like if Mahomes clears out right now, so if he wins it this year, goes to the Super Bowl, wins Super Bowl MVP, are they going to start being like, all right? Like,
I almost think they're already at that point. In my honest opinion, like I said, I mean, sitting at home watching some of these analysts and stuff, like Aaron Rodgers, and I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers. Like he balled, especially he closed.
Oh, he did,
and his numbers are good. And he got Mahomes didn't play last week.
Yeah, and because Aaron had to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's always like that last impression, and I always feel like, and that's what I'm saying. I almost feel like they're already at that point where they're, we're gonna give it to Aaron, like because he's later in his career, and Mahomes is
almost punishing him for putting in the work and handling the business early and getting everything done early. Yeah. We were done by week 12, week 13. We didn't have to really trip on the last 3 weeks.
Up. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now, I get punished for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. I
don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. It's a toss up in my head. I mean, they both have phenomenal years, but I could see them giving it to Aaron, and that's where I'm saying I think they're already at that point where they're looking for somebody. I mean, the Josh Allen conversations, like they're looking for other people to like put into that conversation with him, and in reality, Aaron Rodgers is in that. I mean, talent wise, not anymore. He's older, but obviously,
No,
mentally,
but the season was he's there. Yeah, you never stop learning. That mentally,
I was
you throw
watching
Aaron Rodgers in Mahomes' body right now. What happens?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's scary because he's got the mental game on lock. But I was watching Pat McAfee has like a show, and I think every week Aaron Rodgers goes on and does like an interview. And Pat McAfee was asking him about the touchdown he threw to Valdez Scantling. It was like Chicago went cover zero, and Green Bay was in 5 wide, and he just threw a seam route. Middle linebacker had to try to get to the number 3 and stay underneath him, and Valdez Scantling just ran a streak, and Aaron caught the ball, took one step, and lobbed it up, and it was like a 70-yard touchdown. And he's like, "What was going through your head?" He's like, "Because you snapped that like with a second left on the play clock." He's like, "So what's going on?" So he literally was like, "Well, we were out in a 3-by-1." He's like, "But we had Aaron was out wide, and we were in our 5 wide set, and he was actually supposed to motion back in, but he was sitting there watching because he said Trevathan, and then I forgot who the other linebacker is. They were arguing back and forth, like for the Bears. And so Aaron was like, I'm listening to him because I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to do." And he's like, and then he's like, they gave it away. Like I knew they were coming 0. You can see it how they were aligned. And so he's like, I gave Aaron Jones, like I just put my hand out, like you're staying out, like I'm leaving you out there. And he knew that somebody was gonna have to try to get in number 3 because they kind of had him uncovered. And he knew at that point. So he literally he told Pat, he was like, the reason why it almost was a delay of games because I was waiting for those two to stop arguing so I could figure out what they were doing. He's like, but they screwed up somewhere, and the next thing you knew, it's like, but it was just funny. Yeah. That's the mental aspect of it. That's why actually this year has been fun to watch because you could hear the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know.
You could hear every check.
Making checks, everything. I know. I've enjoyed that as well. Definitely enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, so MVP race will be interesting. Like I said, voting's already in, but they wait to announce it for whatever freaking reason. I don't know why. But let's touch on some of the coaching changes that have already started to take place. I guess the guys have been fired. There are 6 jobs available. We got the Chargers. Anthony Lynn got fired the other day.
That's a great spot.
Jacksonville, the Jaguars, the New York Jets, Detroit Lions, Atlanta Falcons, and the Houston Texans all have job openings. I know they've all started interviewing guys already. The Texans, I don't think they have because I think they're interviewing for GM as well because they got rid of their GM. But I know the Jets have been interviewing guys. I know for sure the Jags have. I haven't heard anything about the Chargers, but what do you think the best available job is as far as those go?
Chargers. And then what was the second team that you named? Oh, Jaguars. And different reasons. And we kind of talked about this, but Chargers just because they're ready to win right now.
Yeah.
Like right now. They got a quarterback, on a rookie contract for the next, 4 years or 3 to 4 years with an option for a 5th or whatever the case may be. You got receivers, you got running backs, the defense is there. They are ready to go. It was just bringing along Justin Herbert this year. Right. They had no idea. Who knew that the puncture lung by Tyrod Taylor was going to yield this?
Right. Yeah.
Know.
And you got to think Anthony Lynn at the beginning there was like, even after that happened and Herbert came out and balled that game, he's like, no, Tyrod's still our quarterback. And everybody just kind of be like, are you crazy, dog? Like, that dude just balled out. Tyrod ain't that. So,
and here's the kicker on that is, and I'm going to be honest right now, I didn't think Harrington. I didn't think Herbert had that. I didn't. Yeah. Want to know why? Because I never saw it at Oregon. Like, I don't know if that's the offense that he was in. I don't know if it was that I don't want to call it elementary or anything like that, but if it was that, because it looked basic.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I can't remember who
where the route combinations. Where's the deep guy, the over? Give me my triangle. Give me the choices. Like I never seen, 3 guys maybe flooded in a thing where he had choices or the quick check down or I didn't really see that for him.
No,
so I was nervous about this year but he obviously he can handle it.
Yeah, no, he broke a lot of rookie records for quarterbacks this year.
They come all of them.
I remember seeing, a close.
And he missed the game.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, I didn't play at the beginning of the year. But I remember I was reading, obviously on Twitter, follow a bunch of quarterback guru coaches or whatever, and somebody that had worked with him and made a comment that because he didn't look like this at Oregon. and made a comment that he felt that Oregon, like Cristobal and that coaching staff, didn't challenge him enough. Like he's an extremely intelligent kid, like a 4.0 GPA, and majored in biology, like extremely intelligent, and you're seeing it now in the NFL. It's
he's playing now better in the NFL than he did in college.
And it's simpler in college. Like that's the crazy part.
The windows are bigger. Everything is easier in college than the pros.
Right. And so that was one of those things. Like they felt like that Oregon just didn't challenge him enough as far as play calling and concepts and all that kind of stuff. And the thing is, it's hard because you're at a college, so you're trying to get all these receivers up to speed. You're trying to get everybody up to speed. So you can't necessarily get to that necessarily complication, I guess, as you would say it. But yeah, the Chargers is a good spot. They got a lot of cap space. I think they got to sign Ingram, who's one of their DNs, and maybe somebody else I forgot really. But they're
in line for a quick turnaround.
Yeah, Derwin James coming back off injury. Joey Bosa coming back off. They got Kenneth Murray, they drafted last year, the linebacker at Oklahoma. They got two corners. They got Chris Harris and Chris Harris Jr. and was it Craig Hayward? The corners. They got two corners.
They're ready to go.
Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They got Hunter Henry. Like they got the pieces.
Eckler in the backfield. Another
got some cap space.
Another back too. Yeah.
Eckler.
I think Kellen Ballard. Is it Kellen Ballage?
I think Ballage played there, but Josh Kelly played at UCLA, played at Eastside as well. Lancaster.
I remember him.
He balled out a little bit this year. So they got some talent. Like I said, they got some cap space. They get a good I think they need to get a good offensive-minded guy there to challenge.
They do.
You know, whether I think I saw that they were going to try to interview Robert Saleh, who's the DC at San Francisco, which you know, it's one of those things. If you hire a guy like that, a defensive guy, that's fine. He just needs to hire a good offensive guy.
Very good.
And so that's
I saw Urban Meyer as well on their list. I read that they may get an interview with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, so I mean they're kind of the ready to go team. I feel like if they're going to have a decent draft pick this year, obviously, and they're ready to win. I mean, you look at I don't know how many games it was that they lost by less than a score, and games that
they got guys in their prime. They got guys in the prime of their careers right now, and they're veterans. And I've read many articles where Herbert has already won over that locker room. They are backing him, so they get the right guy in there, and the defense is going to be all right. But if they can get the right guy in there to really challenge Herbert, like you're talking about, they are definitely ready to go.
I think the second one for me would be Jacksonville, just because obviously got the number one pick. They have the most cap space. I think they have over $100 million in cap space. They got some good young players on the team. They got Miles Jack on defense. They got a couple decent players. So they got a lot of capital, draft capital. So they'll be picking up some draft picks this year. So that'll be interesting. And like we had touched on it earlier before the podcast, that's definitely a rebuild. So as a coach, you would expect to be able to come in at least have 2 years, or this year to kind of build it, and next year start winning some games.
Like half the team is going to turn over.
Right.
You know, I would bet at least half the team turns over.
Yeah. And then you have the Jets. Obviously, they got the second pick. They have some decent pieces. They have the second most cap space. You got to figure they're probably going to trade Sam Darnold. They're going to do one of two things. Either going to trade Sam Darnold or you're going to trade the second pick. And so you're going to have tons of picks, and you're going to have a quarterback. Yeah. I'm not excited about it, but it's not an awful job. It's definitely not the worst job on the list, in my opinion. Detroit.
I'm not feeling New York.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling the Jets.
Oh, and it's not. If I had a choice, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah. Detroit.
You got to figure you got to move on from Stafford at some point.
At some point soon.
So maybe you package him and try to jump up. I don't know. Or maybe
But then what are you going to get from him?
I don't know. You're probably going to get a second, maybe a third. You're not going to get much because he's probably got 1 or 2 years left.
Yeah.
Then you got Atlanta. They're kind of in the same spot. Matt Ryan's old. He's getting like $40 million a year. Like he got, I think he signed that contract after he won the MVP.
Yeah.
And they've been down since that year. So they've never recovered since they lost that Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I don't even know what's wrong with Julio Jones. I think
in and out injury.
I don't think he's played. Yeah. It's been a minute since I even seen him.
Yeah, so. and ultimately, I think the worst job available currently, and it's kind of is Houston, and I guess it would be the worst job for the first year because you got to look at you got aging guys on defense, you got J.J. Watt, you got you got Deshaun Watson, which obviously superstar, like one of the top quarterbacks in the league, but you traded away all your picks. You have no first or second round picks this year, with already a depleted team talent wise. And so it's going to be a rough year this year. If you could get a coach in there that if the GM but that's, how many times do you see them say like, oh, he's our coach? Look at, Texas, same. University of Texas said Tom Herman was their coach in the middle of December and then fired him after the bowl game. Like, so, they all say that, but it's not an awful job if you're going to be like, if you're John Gruden and going to sign a 10-year contract and have that leeway.
Yeah.
It's not a bad job.
Because you got to go in there thinking like you really don't know what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? With the veterans, J.J. Watt is always hurt. Is it? Do we try to? Well, now we out of my obvious concerned with this, but yeah, do you try to move them and maybe try to get into that second round and clear a little cap space or whatever the case may be?
I personally, I would. As much as he's kind of that. He's almost that legacy guy. He's like but it seems to happen. It's Joe Montana at the end of his career. It's all these guys at the end of their career that end up playing for other teams because they just get old and
money
teams.
Yeah, it's about that money.
Trade them or let them go. But I kind of.
It's one thing to be paying a guy close to $20 million a year if he's producing. Right. And not to say he doesn't produce when he's on the field, but he's been hurt. And ultimately, this is a business, man. They don't care who you are. If they can kick Joe Montana out, then anybody can go.
No shit, right? But yeah, I agree with you. I think right now, if you're a coach and you're like, I'm gonna win the way this league is, like I need to win, I'm going to San Diego. As much as you kind of look at that and you're like, oh, the Chiefs are up at the top of that division. But you got to look at.
But you can get.
If you're going to make the playoffs, if you're going to make the playoffs, you're not going to see them at least till the second round. So you got to look at that. The Broncos don't have a quarterback. Like Drew Lock, I think is a good kid. He's just not the guy. And then the Raiders, they play well. I think they play tough, but they're in my head.
They got to fix the defense.
Yeah, I would pick the Chargers to finish ahead of them next year. So it definitely Chargers.
We don't
then
fix
I would
the
say
defense,
Jack second.
Then, yeah, I'm with you. Jack just simply because of the cap space and the number one pick. They and that's a quick rebuild. That's getting the pieces. You got to hire well. Get your your position coaches in there. Hopefully they can actually coach it because it's most likely it's going to be a young team and you're going to surround them by some high priced veterans. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you got to make sure you get those coaches in there that can coach, not necessarily the position coach that's really trying to be a coordinator. You know what I'm saying, understands the X's and O's, but somebody that can really break down and get these kids, to play. What the Raiders need to do since we got so many freaking young kids. But kind of bring back.
No, I hear you. Yeah, but I mean, it'll be interesting what the Raiders do, though. To be honest with you, because I could see John trying to bring in some older guys here. I say John like we're on a first name basis, but
he needs. We got it. Ain't like we don't have dudes, man. We need to develop these cats. Yeah. Abrams was a baller coming out. We draft these cats in the first round because they were doing something in college, and they get into the NFL, and it's like, not to say that Abram wasn't, Abrams been doing all right.
Yeah, they've missed
the corner,
Farrell, they've missed on some top picks. Obviously, Jacobs they hit on. Ruggs so far, they've missed on so far.
But they just didn't give him an opportunity.
Right. No, I agree. That's
get
the
ball
hard
in his hands.
So you're going to spend those top picks on those guys. Like you gotta give him the ball.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's freaking jet sweeps. I don't give a damn. Just give him the ball.
Yeah. Just flip it to him. Who cares? All right. So let's move on from the NFL. Let's talk about a little bit of NBA here. Obviously, the season started since the last time we chatted about sports on the podcast. Has anybody jumped out at you, impressed you so far? It's a young season.
I thought Brooklyn would be playing better, but I guess they just got a gel, new coach, and Kyrie and Durant coming together. I thought they would start it off maybe a little stronger. I find myself trying to watch Charlotte games for whatever reason. I try to catch those.
Easy there, man. Start calling you LeVar.
Yeah, but no, because the boy, man, the boy plays.
No, he's fun to watch,
because I still check in on I still look in New Orleans. I like to see how the Laker B team is doing and what's going on over there. But I like the way the Lakers are playing. I think they're just going to take it easy at the very beginning of this. Kind of work their way into it. I think we're deep as hell. I as far as at this point, I haven't seen anything that has me remotely win. I know we're very early. I get it. And there's a whole lot of, games that need to be playing, that needs to be played, but I haven't seen much from anybody. But I tell you what I have noticed. I have noticed Steph Curry attitude changed a little bit.
A little bit.
I've noticed that
people were dogging on him a little bit.
Oh man, are you kidding me?
Shit, he went for 62 the other night.
I know, but see, even I think the night after he might have went for like 31 or something like that. But the point is he's starting to understand like what he needs to do.
I don't remember what the box score was, but I think it was like I saw a picture. It was like two players to combine for like 64 points, and it was like Kobe and Kwame from when like Kobe scored 63 and then Kwame hit the free throw. And it was like Steph and Draymond, because I think Draymond only had like 2 points or something in the game. But it was kind of like, he's been balling. The funny thing is there's some teams like the Knicks have won some games. I think Orlando.
Julius Randle is
balling out. I think Orlando, and they still might be undefeated, but those are teams
who leads the league in assists?
No.
Jokic.
Really? That doesn't surprise me.
Freaking 12 a game.
Yeah,
he's a center.
He's
a freaking center.
Yeah, he's a
that surprised me.
Dude. It surprised me in the sense, but it's like as soon as you said it, I'm like, I would have never thought that, because you always think assist guard. But it doesn't surprise
forward.
me. Like as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, okay. It doesn't. It's not like really.
Yeah. Freaking 12 a game, bro.
Yeah, he's good. They're
ridiculous.
He's
a walking triple double.
Yeah. Well, him.
Because he's getting 10 or 12 boards a game.
Yeah.
Luka. And LeBron if he had to, but he ain't got to.
Nobody's really jumped out. I mean, Portland's playing well. Their teams are playing well. I think that are supposed to play well.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously have some teams like Orlando, like I said, the Knicks that are kind of surprising some people, but they're not going to threaten anybody once the season gets going and starts getting longer into the season. I think the Lakers. I think they're still obviously Caruso's been out, so again gelling. I think they're still trying to find their way.
Pope is out as well.
Yeah, when you plug in guys like Schroeder and Trez, it's going to take some time because they're so well. And you got to think that they're used to coming off the bench and being that spark plug to score points, and so it's one of those. And Schroeder's been starting, and so it's one of those you got to find your moments and got to kind of find it. I've liked. It's really the first time I've always liked Schroeder. But it's the first time I've been able to watch him consistently. I love the way he plays. I think I texted you after the first night, like, I already love Schroeder.
Yeah.
But there are times where it's like trying to do too much, bro. Like you got AD, you're out there with AD and LeBron, and you're trying to do too much right now. Like just let the game come to you. And I think they got to figure that out a little bit. I like Gasol. I think obviously same kind of thing. He's got to fit. He's got to find his fit a little bit.
Find his role.
But yeah, the Lakers, I'm not too worried, but they'll get it figured out. I feel like with LeBron and AD, LeBron like the ultimate team leader, so he'll get it figured out and get everything situated. The Clippers been kind of up and down. Kawhi's already taking games off. Do you see?
Just kind of doing this thing.
Well, then PG came, like they got beat by 51, and PG played. Kawhi didn't play that game. PG, and it's like he came out was like, oh, that's on me. Like, yeah, we know. Like. You don't need to say nothing, but
51.
Yeah, that was bad.
51, like the score was like 70, like 20
there's been
something.
A couple of those. I think the Bucks got beat by like 40 by somebody. Like it's kind of. I mean, it's one of those like teams get hot, like they just start draining three. Like I forgot the Lakers forgot who they played, but they beat the doors off of somebody and they opened up scored like I don't even like they were shooting out of their mind from three. And it was all like they were up like 20 points in the first quarter, and you sit there. It's like the way the game is nowadays. If a team gets hot and if you got shooters, Like it's tough. But,
I know.
But yeah, I'm not really surprised by anybody. I mean, I've always, even as a Laker fan, I've always loved not necessarily loved the Blazers, but I love Dame. And we talked about that before.
Yeah, me too.
So they're always kind of my like sleeper. Like I pull for them. Obviously not when they're playing the Lakers, but when they're not playing the Lakers, I always pull for them.
Carmelo coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I heard something about a potential trade to try and get Dame. Who it was a whole crap, but I know Schroeder was in it, Trez was in it, Kuzma was in it.
I'm talking about the Lakers trying to get Dame.
Yeah, I think I saw it. I think potentially for next summer. It's something they might because they got tradable contracts. But here's the kicker: Dame don't want to do it. Dame is like, I'll stay here.
I'll stay.
Like, yeah, he wants to win one from Portland. I like that.
So do I.
Man, bring your ass to LA.
I give Dame props. That's Steph scored 62 and it was against Portland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Dame after the game was like dapping him up and like talking to him. Like Dame's one of those. He's a competitor, man. Like he, as much as he wants to win, like he don't shy away. Like, hey, you gave it to me tonight, bro. Like good shit. And that's the type of stuff.
Him and Russell Wilson, man. Or Russell Westbrook, but must see TV. And you know what? He hasn't been playing bad.
No, but
he
Washington
hasn't been getting some. Yeah, I know. He hasn't been very efficient, but we knew that. But
yeah. So nothing's really shocked me so far. I'll be interested to see what happens in Dallas when Porzingis comes back.
He is always hurt.
Always hurt. But when he's there though, like last year when he was playing for that stretch, they were really good.
Yeah, I know. Scary.
So
scary.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, nothing's really shocked me so far as far as the NBA season. But yeah, Lakers still trying to gel. Did you see the Suns are playing a little? It's almost kind of funny. I feel like they're taking on a little bit of Chris Paul, like they are kind of that attitude, like the confidence. And Chris Paul,
Booker called what did he call
Paul George soft?
Yeah,
had his Kobe Dwight moment.
Yeah. That's a whole bunch of Chris Paul. He's all over that team already, and that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
people don't like Chris Paul, man. I like Chris Paul. I've always liked Chris Paul.
I've never been a huge fan of Chris Paul. Like I don't know why. I just have never. He's a good player.
I've liked Chris Paul since I was watching like a game. His grandfather died, I think, and I think 62 or 63 or something like that. And he has scored. He said he's going to score a point for every, every point for his grandfather. Got to the free throw line, needed to shoot 2, made the first one, intentionally missed the second one, and then bounced.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've
been a fan of him since then.
He's always got those clips of him like hitting people on the balls and shit, and
he's an asshole.
I love the way you have that incident with Rondo last year.
Rondo,
and Rondo's dirty as hell too. Like you could see, like when you slow it down,
I like him too.
Rondo spit at him, but like
spit in his face,
But it's I'm just like I don't know what it is though. I feel like Rondo, like he talks the talk and walks the walk. I feel like Chris Paul talks the talk, but he don't walk the walk. Like for me, like if you're gonna smack somebody in the balls, don't turn around and be like, "What do you like?" He will turn around and like act like he didn't do it. Like just be like, "Yeah, I fucking did it, bro." Like I kicked you in the junk. Like you know what I mean? Like and don't walk away from it. Be Meta World Peace, man. Be Ron Artest about it. Like if you're gonna fucking do something, like yeah, I did it, and what? What are you gonna do? But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But
that's funny.
But yeah, KD, Kyrie, like you said, I think they just got to gel a little bit. But KD's looking good. Like he crossed over somebody the other day and just went to the rack and slammed it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those.
Harden. Middle linebacker ass Harden's out there balling.
But
they cannot stop him.
That's one of those like
he is Jerome Bettison people to the rack.
He reminds me of, you ever see that dude? I forgot his name. It's like he does the videos where he's like, it's this big fat overweight dude, and he's like shooting basketball, but he's got like the short shorts on, like the tank top, and he's like jacking them up over his head, and it's like going above the rim. And,
And
it's like you always see that. It's like I remember like people post it like when last year when like Paul George was breaking shit. It's like Paul George warm ups, and they like post that. Like that reminds me of Harden, but he's making them. Like if you just do that video, but then make the ball go in, it's Harden.
Yeah, but they and you would think like if at any point in this man's career you will be able to stay in front of him, it'll be now.
It'd be now.
It'll be right now.
The hard part though is like even with basketball rules nowadays, like you're still in front of him, but he drops a shoulder. It's a defensive foul.
Yeah.
You know, that's
what I'm saying. He's Bettison people. He's Jerome Bettison people, busting people to the rack.
He's gonna be the old
busting
dude.
people's ass right now.
He's gonna be like.
Wait till he gets in shape.
He's gonna be like 55 years old at LA.
Still
Fitness.
playing.
Like people are gonna pick him last. This old dude. He's gonna have the Pete Carroll Nikes on. Like, and people are gonna pick him last, and he's just gonna stand around the 3-point line and never miss. And people are gonna get mad at him.
The thing about Harden is he ain't beating people with real athletic ability right now because he's not necessarily in shape. He's doing it all with footwork, his mind, his shot, leverage, all that type of.
He's kind of always been that way because as I get you,
but I get that
he's out of shape, so it's even more so now.
Yeah, it's even more so now.
But even before, like he wasn't the most athletic, and that's what we kind of touched on with Westbrook. Is like Westbrook never Harden had to work on his game because he didn't have that explosive. He had to work on his handle, had to be able to get his shot, had to be able to get the separation to get his shot. And I agree with you. And now you're paying attention to it almost more now because he is overweight and out of shape. And so it's and he's still getting his shit.
But the thing is he's playing some defense too. He started playing defense a little bit last year when they're like, he don't play no defense. But the thing is I think he's shady a better athlete than people think he is because when he wants to play. Yeah. But when he wants to play defense, he plays pretty good defense.
Well, even those years when people would talk, I think he was averaging just over a steal a game. But the problem is people, he can't stay in front of everybody, so he gets those steals where the dude beats him and he pokes around, reaches around, pokes and just
stands there and watches. It just looks bad.
Ends up getting a steal like I've said before, I've never been a huge fan of his game. I think more so as his career's gone on. I liked him when he was at OKC I
don't see how his game translates to a championship team.
Yeah, and for me, it's just the frustration of the NBA rules. So he's one of those dudes he's trying to get to the free throw line, just try to score. If you get fouled, you get fouled, but he's trying to get to the free throw line, and it just drives me nuts. But there was the other night, who was it? They were talking about he's coming around the screen, and Trae Young. Well, he's been balling in Atlanta. Atlanta's actually maybe Atlanta's kind of surprised. They're playing real well.
Yeah, they're playing well.
But he comes around screens, and he'll dude's trailing him, and he'll go up to hit a floater, and he'll hit the brakes, and so people will run up his back, and he gets the foul. And I think it was Thibodeau was going off. Tom Thibodeau was going off on the refs because you see him he's doing one of these he's stopping, and it's I get what you're saying, Tibbs, but that's a foul. You can't run up somebody's back. It's
if
you
he's
can get as angry
jumping
as
up
you
for
want.
a jump shot.
You get as angry as you want at the dude that's rear-ending you, but ultimately it's his fault. But they're balling, but the NBA game, it frustrates me, even watching the Lakers and stuff. And then you see people, I feel like LeBron gets kind of that Shaq foul calls. Sometimes he just gets mugged. But he's so big that it doesn't phase him as much as it would somebody else.
Yeah, I know.
And it's kind of like the Shaq aspect of it, where it's he'd get hacked constantly.
He was hard.
And
it just doesn't look like it.
Because LeBron when he goes to the rack, he's getting contact.
Yeah.
And so he's one of those dudes. If he was James Harden, he'd be at the line 25 times a game. And so that's where I just get kind of frustrated. And it goes both ways. Even watching LeBron when he goes to the rack and you see him lower a shoulder, back in the day, that was an offensive foul.
Yeah. If I was on the other side, I'd be hot.
Yeah. You're standing there, kind of standing your ground, and maybe he gets a shoulder into your right side of your chest or something. But he's initiating the contact, lowering his shoulder.
He's dipping.
That's an offensive foul.
He's dipping.
And I love the NBA. I love watching it. It's entertaining, but. And I think that's why it frustrates me with Harden. He's just so you see him flop all the time on jump shots, kicking his leg out, trying to get calls. So
no, it's definitely getting a little soccerish. It's on that. You know, they can start adding awards for acting and things like that, because a lot of it is everybody's flopping, everybody's throwing their hands off, flailing and all that kind of stuff. And I actually like the fact when I think referees back in the day, a few years ago, I haven't seen it in a while though, like if they thought you were flopping, they would call a foul on you for flopping.
I think they changed. I'd have to look at it, and maybe somebody can.
I know Vlade Divac used to get those. No, seriously though.
No, but I think they started fining. Like they'd go back and look at the tape, and if it was a flop, the NBA would fine the player. And I don't know because I think I remember them doing the foul with it, like if the ref thought it. But I think they just took that aspect of it away. And then if the NBA goes back and looks at it, they still fine them. So like if you're sitting there and it's egregious, you're getting fined for it. But yeah, it is getting, sometimes it does get a little soccerish. I always laugh at the ones, dude comes around with the elbows and the late reaction, like he got hit in the face, and then it goes back, like, camera don't lie, bro. Like goes back and totally whiffs on the face, and it's like, oh yeah, when you get the foul call,
you get smacked.
The dude standing there
look
with
at
the ball.
The ref.
Like, what?
Yeah,
what
you look at the ref. He looks back and then he reacts.
I did see Boogie got kicked out the other night, which I'm not shocked. The worst part is it was on a second technical, so I didn't see what the first tech was for. But I was laughing something like Boogie's back in prime form. Like
I like Boogie, man.
It was one of those he went up and he thought he got fouled, and he kind of threw his hands up, and they threw the tech on him for being like demonstrative. But it was his second tech, and he literally was just looking at the ref and like walking off, would stop, look back at the ref, like, "Are you kidding?" Like I will say this, like compared to his younger days, he would have went into the ref
off.
Or
I know.
He
would have went off.
Like he was, he's definitely matured. But I've always liked him. But yeah, I was just like, I saw that they're like, oh, DeMarcus Cousins got kicked out of his first game, and I'm like, oh, he's back in prime form, man. Which is good because I
hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
Hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
We got I got a comment from I got a comment on our all decade team.
Oh, did you?
From Ken.
Oh, I think I did. He sent you a text. I didn't read it though.
Yeah,
I haven't read it yet.
Oh yeah. Going. Oh, can you look at it real quick?
Should I read it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I love Ken. So Ken, nobody knows, Ken's love him to death. Like he's honestly like over the last few years, like he became one of my closest friends. But he was our O-line coach for a few years. And he's always like he hates, not that he hates him, hates the skill.
Yeah, he does.
I don't think he does. He likes
not
the skill
personally
kids,
hates the.
No, but
he ones with right attitude.
He was the
perfect
perfect
ones that had attitude
coach
like a lineman. Yeah,
he loved the O-line, and that was all that mattered to him. So, and that's what you
didn't
want.
Give a about nothing.
He don't care about what the receivers do.
Offense. Yeah, change the offensive signals to the point where like, I don't even want to hear any of this. I don't care about any of that. Yeah. What does the line have to do?
Signaling in the line. I'm not watching any of this other crap. But yeah, so he was irritated that we only had six linemen, and proceeded to say effing skill coaches. So props to Ken, appreciate it. But that's fine. I would not expect anything less from Ken on that.
Yeah, I sure wouldn't. That was great. That's funny as hell.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting playoffs coming up. NBA season obviously just getting underway. Anything real quick before we dip out of here?
Hey, with all the wildness going on, just so you know, what's today's date? The 6th? 7th?
Yeah,
6th. 6th. The crypto market cap topped $1 trillion today. So I know this is a sports thing, but we also do crypto. I just want to let you guys know. So while all this wildness is going on, the crypto space just crossed $1 trillion. And I'll tell you something else. It's not the people that have been on lockdown and got $600 stimulus checks that are pushing this money in.
Yep.
So
not a lot of people pushing Bitcoin to 35,000 with $600. So.
Yeah, no, not at all. So just think about what's happening in the world right now and who's buying a lot.
Definitely. And with that, we'll get out of here. So this is Al Naha signing out.
All right, guys.